Last year when MG launched the Windsor in India, we had a go with it and it turned out to be a very competent and decently feature-loaded product. But it was missing some crucial feel-good features. Now MG has brought that to the table with this that's called the Windsor Pro. It's only available as a top-spec, fully loaded version and brings some very important updates to the car. The car has been launched in India and now we're going to take a look at it and tell you the top things that you should know about the MG Windsor Pro. We're behind the wheel of this MG Windsor Pro and it gets the same motor. You still get 134 bhp and 200 Nm of torque. That's the same thing what you get in the regular car also. But the difference here is that you get a bigger battery pack. It's a 52.9 kWh battery pack as compared to a 38 kWh battery pack of the regular model. And that has upped the range from around 330 kilometers odd to 449 claimed. Now, with the 38 kWh battery pack, we did a real-world range test. Link is in the description and also somewhere on the screen here. And MG claims a range of 331 kilometers, and we got 264, which is between 75 and 80% of the claimed range. Now, if you put that equation to this, given that the motor and the torque are the same, but there is a weight increase, obviously, about between 75 and 80% means you will get around 354 kilometers in the real world, and at least on paper that's what it should be, which is also an impressive number considering that over the top spec 38 kWh battery pack version, and this is about 1.53 lakh. You're essentially paying about 1.53 lakh for an additional 117 kilometers, which is pretty impressive, right? This is what most of the Windsor EV's rivals are kind of priced at when you're looking at a lower range and a higher range version. So I think MG's got that game right. Obviously, when the car comes to the CarWale garage, we'll put it through a real world test and a real world range test and be able to tell you what the real world range is like, right? That's something crucial and that is something we should be able to do. If you have any questions on that, you can leave it in the comment section below. Now, as a car to drive, not much has changed dynamically, even though they've added more batteries and it's added more weight and it's consumed some of the boot space. So I think the standard car's boot space is about 604 liters. This one's 576. Our sources told us that the car had always been designed for this 52.9 kWh battery pack, and it was just a question of adding the additional batteries. In fact, they even said that when technology improves and you get higher density batteries, I mean the lesser batteries and more power, you'll still be able to accommodate them. The platform and the system are designed in that manner. Now, as a car to drive, like we said, not much has changed. One, because of motor. Two, even though there's a weight addition, it still feels the same. It rides the same way. It's slightly on the firm side, but nothing that will make you uncomfortable. It's surprisingly compliant. The steering is light and easy to use. Doesn't offer that much feel on the highway, but we've come to ride the car in Guwahati and Shillong. We're essentially in Meghalaya right now, where you have these absolutely beautiful, curvy, undisturbed roads where everyone's following the road rules. And the Windsor EV, especially in this Pro guys, is turning out to be an absolute joy to drive because of the electric powertrain, right? You get instant torque, which means that as you're going through the corners, you don't have to shift, you don't have to worry about losing momentum, especially if it's an upslope that you're going through. But in city conditions, and essentially that's where a car like this will spend most of its time, car will respond well. The low speed ride is quite compliant that way, like we said, a little bit on the firm side, but nothing that will make you uncomfortable. And like we said, the electric powertrain makes things addictive. It wants to make you drive in a nice manner, especially when you have beautiful roads like this in Northeast India. When you get an opportunity to drive on roads like this car is surprisingly great fun to drive. It does feel a little heavy around the corners. It does feel, considering its size and weight and height, it does feel top heavy if you go very hard around the corners. But it's one of those things, it gives you a margin to correct yourself if you come in too hard. It's one of those things. Lot of electronics, big safety net. Now, one of the big additions on this car, and this essentially this Windsor Pro variant, is the addition of level 2 ADAS. MG has been one of the pioneers when it comes to adding ADAS to the vehicles, and that was one of the crucial features missing on this car. The ADAS works surprisingly well for whatever features you have. You have adaptive cruise control, you have lane keep assist, you have traffic assist. Complete list is on the screen, and it works surprisingly well. It's able to read the objects in front, it's able to speed you up, slow you down. Lane keep assist is strong, right? And it keeps you on track. Now, because MG has had ADAS in its cars for a long time in India, it's understood how our systems work. However, we'd also like to point out that this ADAS system is missing some essential features, right? I mean, it's good that it's come to the Windsor, but I think to keep a separation between the Windsor and the ZS EV, as well as the Hector also, and the Astro, obviously. Astro is kind of in the same price range. They've had to not add a few features to this. Here is a complete list, and here is what's missing as compared to that. Again, like we said, when we get the car to do a real world test, we'll be able to tell you what the ADAS is like properly. Like we said, it responds quite well and does its job, but those little nitty-gritties that come with using an ADAS system, especially in heavy traffic, that's something we'll be able to tell you when we get to spend more time with the car. What do you want to know about the driving dynamics of this vehicle? Do let us know in the comment section below. We're here in the front row of this MG Windsor EV Pro, and like we said, it's a top spec version of the Windsor family, and thus the cabin has not changed much. In fact, the only big change that is there is that you get a dual tone interior now. It's beige with black. The black was already there. You get black forward inserts, and the dashboard is black, the center console is black, but the seat upholstery is now beige, right? And that's meant to add a premium touch to the overall appeal. Other than that, nothing has changed. You get these two dual digital displays. This one is for the infotainment system and contains a majority of the functions of the car. In fact, sometimes it can be a bit cumbersome to access some of the functions because you have to go through a lot of the menus to reach them, right? But that is how the system is designed. Now, in terms of headroom, shoulder room, really not an issue. You get a lot of space inside because the floor is flat. You also get a lot of room, and this is a born electric vehicle, right? So it's been designed with space maximization inside. Overall, it's actually a nice place to be in, and when you open up the glass roof, right, it's not a sunroof, it's a glass roof, it actually feels nice and airy inside. This is the second row of the MG Windsor, and in this Pro, guys, it's not very different from what is offered on the standard car. You get the same beige and black setup, but otherwise the overall cabin is exactly the same. And we have pointed out this before, it's actually a pretty decent place to be in. You get a good amount of space, nice space for two people to sit in. Third, if the third person is a bit small, because you can see that the seat base is different, but space is not so much an issue. But you do get a center armrest for two cup holders, and if you want to use that, it's strictly a space for two people. Now, one of the party pieces of this MG Windsor EV is that you get a reclining rear seat. It reclines to 135 degrees and you can sit back in a lounge-like comfort. But you don't get some of those lounge-like features that one would expect. Seat back tray tables, power function for the recline, a few additional charging points, maybe a cool glove box or a cool, cup holder of that kind. These are all little luxury touches, or maybe even a boss function. These are all little luxury touches that would have upped the luxury quotient of this vehicle, but it's still actually a really nice place to be in. Two new features now available with the Windsor EV Pro are vehicle to load and vehicle to vehicle technology. The vehicle to load function allows you to connect various electrical devices to the vehicle and use it as a battery source, while in the latter, you can use the car as a battery pack to charge another vehicle. This has now become a common feature among EVs in this price category and was an expected feature to be added to the Windsor EV's feature list. Now in terms of exterior design, very little has changed. This is essentially a new top spec version of the Windsor, and thus the only big change, or rather two big changes, one is that you get new design for the 18-inch alloy wheels that are specific to this Pro variant. Other is 4 new paint schemes specific again to the Pro variant. Though going by MG's standard protocol, those colors should be available to the standard car down the line. We've had a look at this MG Windsor Pro and here's what we found. Now the MG Windsor was already a competent product. I mean, it won Indian Green Car of the Year 2025 and there's very good reason for that, right? It's quite a competent product, lots of space inside, a lot of features. But now with these value additions, things like this powered rear tailgate, level 2 ADAS, the additional battery and the additional range, these are all things that have now brought the car on level with its rivals in the segment. Actually, not even brought the car on level. It's raised it above the cars that it is competing with, right? It's made it class leading. And because this is a born electric vehicle, you get more space inside, and of course MG selling it with a nice rear seat package. Now, the price that you see on the screen is an introductory price, but even if MG were to add a premium to this once the introductory price gets over for the additional buyers, it's still going to be great value for money, because as you can see in our comparison widget on CarWale, this offers significantly more when looking at cars like the Tata Nexon in the fully loaded guys, as well as the Mahindra XUV 400 and fully loaded guys. This offers a lot more for roughly the same price, right? But we also have to point out that the car still needs to work on a few things. One is the fact that you don't have any power function for the rear seat. It's one of those things that is not so much an issue as it is an extra luxury touch. You are selling it as a business class experience, you're offering the recline, why not add a power function? The other thing is that the ADAS, while it's competent and while it works, is missing some important elements, especially when you consider the amount of traffic on our roads. It's missing things like a rear cross traffic alert, and you've got the list in front of you. It doesn't have those features. Those are things that exist in one form or another in the MG ADAS level 2 ADAS scale across its models, and surely these are things that it can add. The third thing is, of course, that because this is an electric vehicle, and in this generation of electric vehicle, you're always going to have issues with under-thigh support because the battery pack is high up, but honestly, that's also not so much an issue as it is a reality of the situation. So there you have it, our take on the MG Windsor Pro. What do you think of the car? Do let us know in the comment section below. And also, before we sign off, here's a reminder to hit those like, share and subscribe buttons, and also that bell icon to be notified the instant we put out a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.